Good morning. Well, before I start with my video and begin with my topic, I like to say that for my topic I chose a really delicate topic, which is my religion. So I'm not gonna any last get at something, but it's not the same beliefs. I'm not trying to convert or do anything like that, but I'm just trying to give a little bit give a little bit more into my faith.
Jesteś. Jesteś.
Видишь, мама, все происходит как и должно.
I'm sure that most of us have experienced I'm sure that most of us have had an experience with the Abrahamic religion, Christianity, which is due to the fact that we live in a Christian community. Most of the experiences that we had or that we've seen have been related to sports, which is examples of T-Ball for most sports like football and in my case wrestling. Also, we've also for athletes, we've gotten to know this by verses, which is Psalm 24:84, most popular, which is even though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me, your rod and staff will lead us. And in other cases, for people who don't play sports, they've all experienced, or had the experience of trying to avoid the people outside the bookstore, trying to give us a little New Testament books. Today I would like to enlighten you of how the Catholic Church doesn't worship Mary, but instead honors and recognizes her necessity and faith. On the website or the article that I found on pathos.com, it talks about how necessarily Catholics we don't worship Mary. Instead, because there's like a difference between prayer and worship. Prayer is like is to utter a petition to God, and worship is like to reverse the adoration of it, in this case, referring to God. Um, for us as Catholics, we don't necessarily, like I said, we don't worship Mary or we don't pray her. We pray, we ask for her prayer or prayer up on her. In this case, which is one of the most common prayers we have for Hail Mary. It says, Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for sinners now and at the hour of death. Which goes back to saying that we ask for her prayers, for her prayer towards us, so that we may have we may be more can be just so we can have so that way we can be just stronger in the faith and just like have when we need when as when we fail. Next thing I will talk about is the role she plays in this Catholic religion, which is like we honor the fact of what she said. For because Mary in our faith, she played a big role in the whole in the life of Jesus by being a mother saint. Right? The fact that she said yes to the angel Gabriel, knowingly what was going to happen to her son, knowing that what she was going to go through, what her son was going to go through, and already knowing the fact that all the pain that she was going to go through, she still said yes and accepted the fact that she was going to give birth to Jesus. Luke 1:30 says, but the angel said to her, "Do not be afraid, Mary. You have found favor with God, and you will be with child and give birth to a son, and you will give him the name of Jesus." So the fact that the angel was up there with God, was up there in heaven, came to her as a woman, and told her that she has favor with God, saying that she will bear the son of God of the universe. Shows how important she is to us. The fact that she again gave birth to the son of God, son of man. Another way that we find her, we honor her in our Catholic religion, in the Catholic Church. We as you saw in the video, she was there. She was there through the whole crucifixion. She was there through the whole process of Jesus being persecuted when he was tortured. And I'm pretty sure like all of us, like our mothers, like they all love us, and I'm pretty sure they would want anything bad to happen. So for her, as a mother, to see her son, her only son, be tortured to that extent, and not only that, like pick up a heavy cross, pick up a cross that he had to carry for about 3 miles to the place where he was going to get crucified, where he was going to lay his down life for us, for our sins. She was there. She was able to still she was there because, and as much as she could, when she wanted to do something, as much as she could, did it, but done her best to stop anything. She still went on. She still went along and followed him throughout the way until like the point of his death. And for us, we see that we recognize what she did because we all know that it was easy for her to do that, but she knew what had to be done. So yeah, she as her dedicated Christian. In this case, she still went on and followed Jesus. Another thing that the Catholic faith does with Mary, or the Catholic Church does with Mary, we recognize her necessity in the Catholic Church. We recognize that she is the Mother of God, now that she is also Mother of all. In this case,
to his mother, "Oh, here is your son." Then he said to his disciple, "Here's your mom." So what this quote means, or what this verse means, is that Mary, what Jesus meant to say is that Mary here, she's the mother of all, because she's the mother of man, of the Son of God, who is the Son of God, is Father as well. So Mary being the mother of Jesus, the Son of God, was Father of the Son of God, was God of God of the universe. Just saying that she just states that of her being just her in this case. So today I have laid down some facts of many that are in the Catholic faith, and I hope that I can give a little insight to what it is.
Shelley, some words about Marco's speech, please.
A few good things that Sean brings up on the speech were, I liked how he showed us about he showed the football player up in the front to kind of like, give us some more, if we weren't in that religion, give us some more personal feel to it, like how we see in everyday life. And then, I like you define the difference between prayer and worship. I thought that was good. That. And then I thought your visuals were pretty good for the most part at helping the audience kind of follow where you were going. Some things I thought you could improve on were you might have spoken a little louder at times, and I didn't really hear much of a set preview at the beginning. Just might have been easier for the audience to follow.
All right, well, I'll agree with a couple of those things. I think that you've got a subject that probably deserves to be talked about a little bit more. I think you need to explain why it needs to be talked about, that sometimes people misunderstand the nature of Mary's role in your faith, and that's why you're bothering to speak about this. I think some information that shows that it's misunderstood, that Catholics are denigrated by, let's say, other Christian faiths as idol worshippers or idolaters or something like that, would be a good justification to have in the beginning of the speech, so that we know why it is you have to talk about this particular subject. I think you define the concepts pretty effectively. You're dependent for most of the supporting material on Scripture, which is okay in explaining some things, but I'm not sure that it explains everything. And it seems to me like there's a whole pool of theological work over a couple of millennium that talk about these sorts of issues, and that you basically don't take advantage of any of that in adding to the credibility of your speech. I know you're trying to keep it relatively simple, and I appreciate that, although I think that sometimes there are some complex delineations that you're having to make that are not as clear as they need to be. Yeah, I'd agree with Shelley. There's not really a preview at the beginning of the speech. In the body of the speech, I did hear some transitions between ideas, so I could tell that you were moving from one idea to another. I think those ideas needed to be laid out more at the beginning, and they need to be highlighted when you're talking about them. As it was, I knew that you were done with one thing and you're moving on to the next thing, but I wasn't always sure, okay, what is the thing that we just finished? And why was that an important thing for us to know about? The visuals, kind of hit or miss. You obviously had some kind of issue going on at one point. I don't know what happened there, but it did delay you for a couple of minutes. The video clip is fine. I do think you need to tell us what it is we're supposed to be seeing out of that, either before we see it or immediately afterwards. But because you ran into a problem, it feels like we just got that video clip, and I'm not even sure why we're seeing it. It's not been tied into the topic by the time you get to the end of that video clip. The other images, at best, they kind of structure the speech. They give you a transition point from one idea to the next. They don't add a lot in terms of understanding or context to the subject matter. So they're fine. There's nothing problematic about them, but they're not accomplishing a great deal in the presentation because they're mostly just scriptural quotes or references to events like Tebow. They're doing the kneeling sort of thing, which he gets credit for, but I've seen people been doing that for years. He just gets more credit for it, I guess, because it became a thing. I've got to agree with her. You need to project your voice a little bit more. That fan over there is loud. This is a big room. The acoustics in here aren't terrible, but you do have to kind of feel the room a bit, and you have to project. And by the way, all of you are going to know that when you listen to your speeches and then you listen to the people who are doing the peer evaluations afterwards, you're not going to hear half of them. You're going to be wondering, what? Somebody saying something like this. And you will not have any trouble hearing me, though. Partially because I'm right next to the microphone, but also because you got to shove your voice out there, and I've never been shy about doing that. I don't think I shout, but you will hear those types of things, and I think that's what you needed to do a little bit as well. It felt a little like you're just kind of stringing this together. It needs to be tighter. You need to have more certainty as to where you're going. You sometimes feel like you're meandering from one idea to the next instead of, I'm on a path here and we're going to make a stop at each one of these points and I'm going to point out to people what's so important about this, and then let's go to this next point and explain it. Because it just doesn't feel like it has much momentum. It feels like you're wandering on the subject, and that is a problem. All right, thank you.